show, the Beautifully Bruised and CPS show. I am so happy that you have decided to tune in today and to watch our show. And I just want to tell you why you've tuned in as well. It's Happy Labor Day. Okay. I think it's a great way to take a break, from work and whatever you're doing and just be able to unwind, relax with your family. The ones that have to work, sometimes the job is given to those that they can handle it. A lot of people can't do what you do. So again, you really also need to be congratulated because you're still doing the work even when others are taking this break. So however you're doing, celebrating this day, definitely I hope you enjoyed, you and your family, whatever way that looks like. Barbecuing here in Texas, we'll get on a grill in a minute. The stores yesterday were so crowded, like Walmart's and all these other stores were so crowded with, with sales and good deals for meat to go on the grill and steamed vegetables, and the fixings and the vegetables. Let me stop because I'm making my own self hungry now. So I don't want to get too far off the subject. So, okay. But anyway, I just definitely want to wish everybody a blessed, happy Labor Day. And honestly, I won't be before you long. I know people have things to do, but I know what's important, which is our families. And along with that, I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because without him, I wouldn't be able to be here in front of you today, sharing my testimony and how he blessed me with restoring my family and bringing us back together again. And I told God, if you, again, my story is for your glory. So if you trust me, and I have received in my spirit, he said, I can trust you now. And it just seemed like different opportunities began to come available. And I thank God for that. So again, I always tell you, always keep God first and watch and see how he will work that thing out for you for the good in your favor. Okay. So as long as you stay consistent and you keep him first, God can handle that thing way better than we can. And I am a living testimony of that. So, okay. With that being said, again, I just wanted to dive right in into what I wanted to discuss today. And what that is, I just thought it would be important to piggyback on what basically like a recap from our last guest that was here on this past Friday. Gosh, time go by so fast. It's almost like that was just yesterday, right? It's already a new week. So, but we had an awesome guest. Mrs. Jocelyn Mixon was on this past Friday. And if you didn't get a chance to watch it, you might want to go back and locate that show on YouTube or Facebook, however you view our shows. She brought some very good information. I think it's very helpful with our children, even though, of course, the parents as well. Since school has just started back a few weeks ago, I just thought it would be important to bring on a lot of useful information that parents need to be aware of. Okay. With that being said, like I said, this is just a recap. If you didn't get a chance to watch the previous episode, but this will be a recap regarding what was discussed, and you can always watch this show and go back and rewatch. If you didn't watch it even in the first place, watch the last episode that we did, because it was a great way to help you be aware of different services that are available for your children in the school system. So, and a lot of people are not aware of. I know I wasn't aware of it at the time when it was needed, and still continue to be needed. And it just helps parents to, I think, really not be able to have to, it alleviates so much stress that a parent can go through when you have a child that may have special needs. You have a child that may deals with disabilities, special needs disabilities, or even a behavior conditions. And, normally when anything occurs in the school, who is the first person they call? Parents, right? Parents are normally the first people that's the first of contact. So anything that can help to equip you to be able to, have a smooth, more successful school year with your children, I think is something that needs to be heard and worth being shared. Even if you have children that's dealing with CPS, say they're going through different changes, obviously, maybe in different foster homes and things of that sort, that's affecting their behavior. They may even have disabilities conditions that they deal with. And I never knew this, y'all, but she shared Mrs. Mixon, the educational advocate for families dealing with school systems, dealing with education. So, these services that, you need to be aware of, the main two services that we shared, which was the IEP as well as 504. Keep those words in mind because those are words that can really help families that's dealing with children, that's dealing with behavior concerns, ongoing behavior concerns, whether it's ADHD, whether it is, special needs services, disabilities, whatever it might be. These two programs, IEP and 504, these are programs and services that the school districts offer that really, really help parents with their children to be more successful. So, again, the only reason why I wanted to mention this because at the time I wasn't aware this was even an option for parents. A lot of times parents, when they see they can't, I'm sorry, when teachers or educators, maybe dealing with the child, they don't know how to handle the child. So sometimes the first reaction may be to place the child in suspension or even, make the child go into a different environment where he's not able to learn with the regular kids. But these programs are in place where it will cover the child, where he's not should be kicked out of school because of his behavior or his disability or his special needs. It actually will make the teachers and the educators, including the parents, of course, come up with a plan that will help guide that child or those kids in a direction where they will have the needed resources to help them to be more successful within the school year versus just trying to get rid of them out of in classroom. So it's a great, I'm so glad honestly that this plan is in place because I know so many families and children that needs it. And with that being said, I had a few different parents, even educators, that reached out and said they really enjoyed that segment, and they even asked questions also that I wanted to address as well in this small segment that I'm going to be doing today. But to go right into that, I just want to mention as well. Some people didn't know, well, what's the difference? What is the difference between a 504 plan compared to an IEP plan? And these are plans again that is for children that's in schools. It can be a child in foster homes, a child that's been affected by CPS. They can also be included as well because they're still children, right? Even though they're unfortunately placed in these corrupt, need to be dismantled systems built from ground up and revised. But these are still children, real lives, real hearts, and real souls that's going through these changes. And if you ask me, they're probably more affected with different psychological occurrences more than anybody. So to me, these services ought to be definitely allowed for children that's been in CPS care in different foster homes. They should definitely be some of the main children that's able to take advantage of these resources. With that said, I wanted to explain to you with these two programs that schools offer for free. There is no fee attached. You don't have to pay any kind of fee. It is free. Okay. Normally, they do require that your doctor, your psychologist, whoever, you take the pediatrician, the counselor, whomever your children is seeing, they normally ask for their credentials to make the type of recommendation for the services for your children in school, which again is called the IEP and 504. And they recommend these type of services. Then therefore the school will step up and start putting some provisions in place to provide these helpful free services for your children. Okay. And I wanted to just address, because I had some questions, from some of our listening audience wanting to know more about what is an IEP as well as a 504 plan, and also what's the difference between the two. Okay, so with that being said, I just want to say that if a student needs accommodations only in a regular classroom, they normally would generally need just a 504 plan. And that's more for a child that might have, for example, sickle cell or some type of, health condition where they might not need to be in a continuation of services, but they just might need to be, teachers and staff need to be aware at a certain time that this child may need to take their meds, or they may need to take a time out, or whatever is needed. And they have to honor that request. And they can't frown on that child or that parent for needing that service. So I just wanted to share, if kind of give you a piggyback on what that means. So again, if a student needs accommodations only in a regular classroom, and he would generally just need a 504. Now, for example, if a student that needs special education services outside of a regular classroom, it will probably be he or she probably will qualify more for the IEP program. So those are kind of, an example of what the easiest way to understand what both programs mean and what they're normally best for. I also like to say, some people ask, why is IEP better than a 504 program? And I just want to say that IEPs are annual and provide additional intentional interventions through specialized instructional goals and objectives. Again, IEPs, they are annual and provide additional intentional interventions through specialized instructional goals and objectives. Okay, and with that being said, it's ongoing services that will help to accommodate your child and whatever special services that they need, that the doctor recommend, that the parent recommend. It's more, I think, like it says, intentional, and it's more customized to your child's needs and more catering, accommodating to your child's needs. And the 504 plans provide accommodations without the needs for specialized instruction, and you do not need to be updated every year regarding that. I had something that came to mind as well, because a lot of children are gifted and talented and very bright. I must say that I was honored and blessed because my son, I was told this past week, he was chosen to be in the gifted and talented. And I don't take that lightly. I take that as a blessing, that a child that, have certain qualities that God has given all of us, gifts and talents. But, he early on, you're able to recognize what some of those gifts are. And again, my child, I must share that once upon a time, years ago, thank God, that CPS told my child that he needs to be in a mental institution. Okay, the same child that CPS deemed to be only in a mental ward is now a child that is being recognized in the school systems for being want to be tested for the gifted and talented. Okay, just play that back for a few minutes, a few seconds even. So that's why I say you cannot let this world deem your child as such as what they see fit. That's not what God say. It doesn't matter what the world say. Okay, that's why I say don't give up on fighting for your kids. A lot of times, if these kids have been in these foster homes and they weren't with the right foster parents or families that does not have integrity, you don't know what your children can be exposed to. And so you cannot let just what they're temporarily going through affect them long term. So don't never, ever give up on fighting for your kids. What if I would have gave up on fighting for my child? Years ago, my caseworker who lacked integrity, she did advise me, won't you just go on with your life? Isn't it something else you want to do? I'm like, huh? Now, I can see if you're talking about a plant that is not going to live much longer, but this is a heart. This is a soul. This is a human being. This is my legacy. I would never give up on my child. Okay? Let's get this clear. I would never give up. And you have to say that not in an aggressive way, but they know that you mean what you say and you say what you mean. This is not a fight I'm going to give up on until what? Until when? He's back home where he belongs. So I say that to say this: don't let no one discourage you. Don't feel like you can't make it in the CPS fight, because you can. As long as you have the will, as long as you continue to keep yourself doing the services, whatever they require, as long as they're within means. I would also say get an attorney. I try to go down an attorney, and I can assure you this is not a fight for anybody. It takes somebody like Attorney Vince. It takes somebody like the attorney I had that knows CPS laws, that's aggressive, that won't take no for an answer, and that's willing to do the work to fight to get your children back reunited with you. Okay, it is a sacrifice. I'm not going to say it's not, but you know what I've learned in life? Anything worth having is always a sacrifice, and that's life, y'all. If you think about it, anything that's worth having, it's going to cost you something, and it's not always easy. But the beauty of it is, it will always work out if you don't give up. It's something about being steadfast. It's something about being determined. Okay. A lot of families, CPS do believe they will wear people out, where they will easily throw in the towel. Don't let that be your story. Don't put a period where there should be a comma. Why? Because God is not through writing your story, y'all. Like I said, this happened to me years ago with my child. They said he was only fit for being in a mental ward. And now he has been in his school. Just last week, I got literature I have to fill out to send back in because they want him to be in a gifted and talented program. And this is not the first time him receiving this recommendation. He knows how to build video games, and he's excellent in math. I mean, he knows things like that at the back of his head, and I know he didn't get it from me because I need help when it comes to math. I'll just be honest. I do. I love writing in English, but math is not my friend. I'm just being honest, okay? So what I'm saying, God gives us all gifts and talents. And it's us as parents, we have to cultivate those and help to bring it to life. So again, I'm sharing this story because I just want you to know, what if I would have listened to my CPS caseworker that lacked integrity? She might have been looking at this as a transactional moment. Politics, power. The CPS, I must admit, seem like they use that a lot of times for what they do. The ones that lack integrity. I'm not speaking of the ones that work with CPS that has integrity, because I have met some people that are very, very, they really care about making sure families are reunited back with their parents. Everybody in CPS is not bad. I just have to say that disclaimer, but I'm speaking only to the ones that are petty, and the ones that are only looking at this as a transactional moment for profit, for adoptions, for making money off of it, things of that nature, money, power, and politics. Those type of caseworkers or CPS affiliates that lack integrity, I'm speaking to you regarding that. But they're all ones that are good, thank God. They are. And I've actually had some on the show to show proof of that. So with that being said, not getting too far away from the subject, but I just want to share that because I just want you to know that, what was meant for evil, God can turn it and use it for the good. This same child, like I said, if I would have listened to what that CPS worker who lacked integrity, if I would have gave up on him, it's no telling where he would be right now. Some things are worth fighting for, and that is definitely your children. Okay. So that's why I wanted to bring this segment on, because even like I loved how Miss Johnson shared from the last segment. She said, even if your children are in CPS custody, if your rights have not been terminated, you still have a say so regarding your children. I didn't know that. And a lot of times people are not going to tell you that. That's why it's so beneficial to have an attorney, a CPS attorney, like Attorney Vince, someone that, been working that knows how to fight CPS, knows the laws, and knows how to win these cases. See, they know this kind of information. That's why I recommend getting an attorney. Because I assure you, when I got an attorney on my case, it completely turned around just like that, 360. It was major things that was a part of my case I wasn't even aware of that was actually against the law. And that's why CPS had to remove themselves from what they were trying to do. And I never would have received that information if I not have had an attorney that knew CPS laws, knew all laws regarding to, the state and what's legal and what's not, and that was aggressive and that was willing to fight for me and my child. Okay. So that's why I recommend, if you can't hire an attorney, I will get as much legal information as possible, that you will be equipped and know as much as you can regarding these laws, pertaining to CPS and state laws. Okay. So, but like I just want to say, the information that was brought to my attention from the last show, that if your rights have not been terminated, regarding your children, you still have to say so. Your child is going to and fro, and you notice a difference behavior when you go to your visits and meet with your children, you can, like she say, the advocate from last show, and please watch it if you haven't. It's a lot of useful information I do believe was shared, but she's saying you just have to write in, I believe, to the schools, maybe to the foster parents, to your caseworker, whomever that's affiliated with your child in the CPS system. Put your information in writing. State your stand. If you do think your child could benefit from 504, from an IEP program. And I honestly think if your child is being in foster care under CPS care, they to me would be even more beneficial just from all the psychological and mental and emotional, unfortunately, stress and dealings that they're having to face during this time of being separated from their family. So, with that being said, I just want to say, with my son, like I said, it doesn't matter how smart you may be. That doesn't disqualify you for being a great candidate for the IEP or the 504 program. So again, someone asked or it was shared, can a child be too smart to be in the IEP program? And because some parents say, well, I think my child is a little too smart to be in something like that. That might not be necessarily may not necessarily be true. Your child, I just want to share what's been provided. Facts is that intelligence has no bearings on disability or need. Okay, intelligence. I'm gonna read it once more. That intelligence has no bearings on disability or need. Even individuals with genius levels of IQs can have a disability that affects their ability to access the curriculum. So, with that being said, for an example, you have a child that is very bright, in their academics, but it could be just the surrounding, the environment that the child is in. Maybe it's taken away from them to be able to fully function and being able to, be the best version of them getting their education. It's not that they can't comprehend, but it might be the surroundings need to be changed. And that's another way IEP would be a great example to help you get those accommodations so your child can be even more successful. Okay. It also asks, does IEP includes ADHD? Absolutely, it does. IEPs are plans for free services given in regular or special classrooms in public schools, not private schools. It's in public schools, again, which is a free service. Which with this free service, I think it's important to know that children with disabilities, including ADHD, autism, and physical disabilities, can get IEP if there is evidence the condition affects their ability to succeed in school. So once again, as long as your doctor, your therapist, your counselor, physician, anybody that has credentials to write that recommendation, your child is going to receive services to make them even better, strive even greater in schools. Okay, so I just want to mention before I close out this segment some of the services that comes with these programs, with the IEP as well as the 504. And these are normally programs that you would have to pay for or your insurance will have to improve. I'm just going to name some of the services that I've been provided. Related services included, but are not or limited to, is audiology, as well as it's called audiology, also counseling services, which is highly recommended if your child has been in the foster care system, and these different foster homes, different environments. Children need to be able to vent, express their thoughts, their feelings, and it's so much. I think they definitely want you to come out of the foster care system. That counseling is, I honestly highly recommend it, even for grown-ups, for your for families, for parents. I think it's not. Think about it. Why would CPS pay for these services as you're going through CPS custody and all these other things that you're going through? Because they know how it can psychologically affect you as well as your children. Okay, so with that being said, it provides counseling services, early identification and assessment of disabilities, occupational therapy, which is another great one, orientation and mobility services, parent counseling and training that I just mentioned, physical therapy, psychological services, recreation, rehabilitation, counseling services, just to name a few. These are some of the services that are offered for free for IEP in your school system, including children, behavior concerns, disabilities, special needs, even children. I think, like I said, in my opinion, I'm no lawyer, no doctor, but I am a mother that have experienced some life dealing with CPS for sure. And I do believe that these services will be so beneficial for you and your children going, returning back to school. Okay. And so with that being said, I am about to nearly wrap up my segment, but I just wanted to come on here today and share some things that I think that will help your children and their educational journey. So And again, I want to mention if you do have a child that may be dealing with some type of special needs, these are some other related services, and these will be the last services that I have that I think is also important for you to know that the IEP will cover your child if needed. Again, which is counseling services. You see that counseling is mentioned quite often because they know after all the stuff you go through with CPS, you're going to need counseling. Okay. Some people need it without it. I see nothing wrong with counseling. I love my counseling sessions. It gives you a chance to vent and get whatever it is out of your head, out where you have someone that's hopefully educated and experienced in that area to be able to give you positive feedback and reinforcement to make you live the best version of you. Okay. So again, they offer counseling services, early identification and assessment of disabilities, occupational therapy, which is another great option that they provide for you for free in your school system, in your school districts. For IEP services, orientation and mobility services, pretty much like we've already said, parent counseling and training, physical therapy, which is great as well. Speech therapy may helps with the child as far as their diction and how they speak, and that's so helpful as well as recreation. And again, these are only some of the options. There could be so many more. Excuse me. And if you know somebody that knows more services that IEP provides, please share that with us, and we, would love for in the comments, because that would also help parents know something that their child may be dealing with, that there is help for that as well. So I just honestly thought this was something that was important to share. It was something that was important for me when my child was dealing with certain concerns. And like I tell you, it doesn't matter where you start, it only matters where you finish. Because even though, we've been through a lot dealing with years ago with CPS, but by the grace and mercy of God, we're out. And now God has blessed me to be on this platform, including others, to encourage all families that's dealing with CPS and just to not give up on your child. Whether if it's a special needs, a disability, it requires a lot of attention. Trust me, I personally know, but I know the race isn't given to the swift. It's not. And God would not give you anything that he know that you couldn't handle, and he wasn't going to see you through. So you have to keep that in mind as well. So again, don't give up fighting for your children. They are worth it. They need you and they love you. And most importantly, you're not alone. This platform is 24/7. Anytime you need some encouragement, anytime you need some wisdom, from watching attorney events, from giving you legal advice, from hearing a show like Beautifully Bruised. We have real true stories that come on and tell you about things that they're dealing with CPS and how they're being affected. And it's things that you can learn from. Hopefully you'll learn, you'll grow and go from what you've learned. That is my prayer. So I'm in prayer for you and your families. I pray that you'll share your testimonies. I've had people that actually say, hey, my child was once in the CPS system and now he's back home. And it just blesses my spirit to hear that. So I pray more testimonies will come forth regarding that. So again, that's all I have for you today. I really, truly hope that you enjoy your Labor Day. I don't know if you're cooking, if you're queuing, barbecuing. I'm using my air fryer. I don't feel like lighting up that grill, but the air fryer, I tell you, it works wonders and I love it. So that's what I'm going to be grilling on today. So if you want to share with how you're enjoying this day, whether it's grilling, just hanging out in the sun, whatever, I would love to hear your story. So again, thank you for tuning in to the Beautifully Bruised and CPS show. I am your host, Latrika Jones. Whatever you do, don't never stop fighting for your children. Continue to keep God first. Do not put a period where there's a comma. There needs to be a comma, because guess why? God is not done writing your story. So again, enjoy your day. Keep God first. Until next time, have a blessed day.